Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hogue, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
I'm AJ Hogue, the author of Effortless English, Learn to Speak English Like a Native, and the father of the Effortless English Club and System. Trains you to speak English fluently, speak English powerfully, speak English effortlessly. Think in English. You do that with my VIP lessons. That's how you do this. You commit to my VIP program. You don't quit. You commit and don't quit. You do it at effortlessenglishclub.com. Go there to start. effortlessenglishclub.com. Book club show today. I'm going to move quickly. I'm going to start quickly here because I have a baby with me today. I am watching a baby, and if this baby starts crying, we have to stop the show. Right now, the baby's sleeping, so let's hope. So, instead of usually reading everybody's hello, just let me say hello to everyone now. I'll come back to the comments and questions. Hopefully, baby will be quiet. I can come back at the end. So for now, just welcome those of you who are watching live. Let's begin. It's our book club. It's the same book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. We are doing part 6 today. Now, as usual, I'm going to go quickly. So I'm just going to do the summary. I'm not going to read through everything. I'm going to do the summary because this will help us just focus on the main ideas. And that's the key thing, especially in this book. Because the main ideas in this book are very clear. There's one idea, one technique, one mindset per chapter. Oh, no. What is it? You can sleep if you want, you know. You can just keep sleeping. That's fine. All right, so let's do it. Let's do it before baby wakes up. All right, part 6. We've got 3 rules. There are 3 parts today for part 6. Okay, rule number 1 is about criticism. In fact, this whole thing is about criticism, this section. Because one thing people are afraid of, right? One thing many people fear, many people worry about criticism, right? They worry about negative opinions from other people. We know this. I know this because I see it all the time. Whenever I talk about different topics, people are very, very worried about failure and criticism. They go together. In fact, I think with failure, really what people fear is criticism, right? If you fail alone, nobody knows. Is that scary? Do most people worry about failing alone? Nobody knows? Not usually, I don't think. I think what people really fear is other people's opinions. You fail and everyone will criticize you. You fail, everyone will laugh at you. It's not really the failure that's the problem usually. It's the reactions of other people. That's what people worry about, right? That's what you worry about a lot. That's what I see. A lot of people worry about this. So how do we deal with criticism, this fear of criticism, this worry about criticism? That's what Dale Carnegie is going to help us with today. So he has 3 different ways to reduce worry about criticism. Okay, and he calls them rules. We'll just say techniques, whatever, mindsets. Number 1, unjust criticism is often a disguised compliment. That's interesting, and it's true. It often means that you have aroused jealousy and envy. Remember, no one ever kicks a dead dog. That's a nice idiom. No one ever kicks a dead dog. I've never heard that one before, but it's a nice idiom. All right, so this is kind of a mindset, right? Some of these are techniques, and some of these are just mindsets, right? Changing your beliefs, changing your attitude, your mindset. How you think about something can help a lot. It can help reduce the worry a lot. So criticism, unjust criticism, right? So there are two kinds of criticism, my friend. Just and unjust. What's the difference? Well, just criticism means you deserve it. It means it's true. Right? So if you do something bad and somebody says you did something bad, it's criticism, yes, but it's also true. Okay? So it's like you kind of deserve that criticism. It's true criticism. It's fair. Sometimes we call this constructive criticism. Meaning it's true and maybe it's helpful actually. You can actually learn from it. It can be helpful. Especially if they do it in a nice way. But then there's the other kind of criticism. This is unjust criticism. This is not fair. This is gossip. This is people attacking you. This is people lying about you. This is people criticizing you when really you did nothing wrong. You don't deserve it. There is a lot of this, especially now on social media and the internet, right? It's huge. Just people will attack you for almost anything now. Online. Anything. Start a blog and you'll see. Start a blog and you will just start to attract, we call them trolls, but they're just all these negative people. They will attack you. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you say. Like in, say politics, any political position, any political idea you write, someone will attack you and criticize you. In fact, any opinion about anything. Just even stupid, small stuff. So, unjust criticism is everywhere. How do we deal with this? He says you need to realize, number one, it's a disguised compliment. It's a hidden compliment. A compliment is when someone says something nice to you, something positive. So, this seems strange. What does he mean? How can a criticism, something negative, an attack, how can that be positive, a compliment? It seems strange. Well, why? Because it means you have aroused, you have created jealousy and envy. He's right about this. Many times, people will attack you and criticize you because they're jealous. Of course, they don't say that. They don't say, I'm jealous. They don't say, I envy you. Right? But actually they do, because you have some kind of success. You have maybe you're handsome or pretty. Maybe you're intelligent. Maybe you have some kind of success in life in some area. When you have success in life, you will be attacked more. You will be criticized more. Right? The most criticized people are the most successful people. Why? Because of this. Because of jealousy. Small people become jealous. Small people hate people who are successful, more successful than them. And so they will attack, they will criticize. So he says you need to realize this, that if you're being criticized, maybe it's because they're jealous, right? Many times it is. And it's because they notice you. You're getting attention because you are doing something interesting, or you are succeeding, or there's something good about you. And because of that, people notice you. Right? You get attention, and then, of course, the bad people will criticize for no reason because they're jealous. So see it as a sign of success, and actually, you can see it as a positive thing. And actually, many people, you'll see this, many people do this. You'll see a lot of people who do become, famous, and they get attacked a lot. Many of them do learn this, and they actually enjoy the criticism sometimes because they realize, I like when my enemies attack me. It means I'm doing something right. It means I'm doing well. I saw this as an English teacher, as I became independent, as I started Effortless English, as I started to do a whole different system. I got a lot of criticism from what? From schools and other English teachers. They still don't like me. Mostly they try to avoid me now because I blocked them. I don't care about them. Especially in the beginning with my first website. Oh, I got so much criticism from other English teachers. They don't like it. But the students love me, but the other English teachers did not. And eventually I realized, this is just jealousy. This is envy. And I just laughed about it and ignored them. And then eventually they disappeared. So no one kicks a dead dog. It means if you are a true failure, if you are really nothing, you're a failure, you're nothing special, well then nobody will criticize you, actually. Most people will just ignore you, right? If you're not successful, if there's nothing good about you, people don't really waste time criticizing people who are low and failures and no good. It's a waste of time. They just ignore those people. So if you're getting that attention, you're getting that criticism, it probably means you're doing something a little different. You're starting to get attention, and that's why they're jealous, and that's why they're criticizing. So you can see this actually as a positive thing. Okay. Technique number 2 will sound very familiar to Effortless English members. Do the very best you can. That sounds really familiar, right? That's one of our codes. We do the best we can. Aha. Interesting. Do the best you can, and then he has this kind of metaphor. Then put up your umbrella and keep the rain of criticism from running down the back of your neck. Okay. All right. So what does that mean? It's kind of an old way of speaking. What he's saying is this, mentally. Again, this is a mindset. Do your best. When you know in your heart, you know for sure you did your best. Well, then, there's nothing to worry about then. You did your best, even if it was not great. But you know you did your best. So after that, don't listen to criticism anymore. If you really did your best, he says, put up an umbrella, right? It means, block the criticism. Imagine criticism is like the rain. The umbrella is like your mind. So he says, just do your very best and then ignore all the criticism. This actually, again, reminds me a little of the Bhagavad Gita, the idea, do your best, do your duty, be virtuous, right? Do your best action, and then forget about the results. Just focus on that. Just focus on doing your best. And after that, ignore the criticism. After that, don't worry about the result. Sometimes the result, you'll like it. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes people will say, yay, good. And sometimes people will criticize you. But it doesn't matter. You did your best. You did your best. You learn. If you made a mistake, if you fail, you learn, of course. But everything else doesn't matter. And that, again, is a good mindset. It's why it's our code, right? We do the best we can is our first code. It's exactly this. Because it's exactly the same in English. Right? Too many English learners, they're constantly worrying about mistakes they make. They have a conversation in English for an hour with a native speaker, an American, let's imagine. A whole hour they talk to a native speaker. And after that hour, what do? Many people, they will focus on the mistakes they made. Oh, I couldn't remember words a few times. I couldn't remember the perfect vocabulary word. And a couple times I couldn't understand him. And they will just focus on the mistakes or the problems. And make them bigger and bigger in their mind. And, I'm terrible at English. This is terrible. I made mistakes. I couldn't think of the perfect word, and on and on and on. It's crazy, but they did the best they can. And in fact, they had a conversation in English, a really good conversation in English for a whole hour, 60 minutes. That's fantastic. But no, they focus on the problems. They say, I was not perfect. I wasn't perfect. Well, nobody's perfect, okay? I make mistakes in English, and I have trouble. Sometimes I make a mistake with pronunciation. I'm sure I make many grammar mistakes when I speak sometimes, but I just don't even think about it, right? Because I don't care, right? I'm just focused on communicating well. Doesn't matter because it's my own language, right? So of course I'm not worried about it. Just like you in your language, you don't care, right? You don't get stressed about every conversation. And if you make a mistake in your own language, you don't, focus on it after, right? Oh, well, you just correct it, or you realize, I made a mistake, or you laugh about it, and that's all. Well, you need the same attitude with English, okay? Do the best you can. That's our code number 1, and it's rule number 2 here in the book. This will reduce so much worry. Do your best and then just relax. Yes, you made mistakes. It will happen. You will make mistakes in life. You will never be perfect. Just do the best you can in all life situations. And then forget about criticism, forget about worry. Good advice. Okay, finally, the third technique for today in our book, part 6. Let's keep a record of the foolish things we have done, and criticize ourselves. Interesting. Since we can't hope to be perfect, we can't be perfect, let's do what somebody did, E.H. Little. Let's ask for unbiased, helpful, constructive criticism. Okay, now we're going, the first 2 are really about unjust criticism, right? But this third one is about helpful criticism, what we call constructive criticism. Constructive means to build, right? Construction is building. To construct means to build, to make. So constructive criticism is criticism that makes you stronger, criticism that improves you, criticism that builds your confidence, that makes you better. So that kind of criticism is helpful. It's one way we can learn. So he's saying we actually have 2 parts to this. The first part is criticize ourselves. So instead of worrying about other people, well, just, we can look at ourselves and we can, if we're looking at something we did, we can look and say, well, did I do my best? Did I make a mistake? Is this result good or bad? How can I improve? Oh, I did this wrong. Okay, maybe I can do better next time. Right? That's criticizing ourselves. It's very useful. Just don't be upset about it. This is the key, right? Okay, this is the point. To people, it's fine to criticize yourself. That means you're humble. Humble means you're not, you realize that you're not perfect. Okay, of course not. We're not perfect. You want to have some, we say humility as the noun and humble as the adjective. And that's a positive virtue, to be humble. Because to be humble means that you are not the best. You are not God. You are not perfect. And when you make a mistake, you don't try to hide it. You don't lie about it. You just say, yeah, I made a mistake. If you have a weakness, something you're not good at, you don't lie and pretend you're good at it. You say, yeah, I'm not very good at this. You're honest. Right? So that's humility, and that's very good. It's just some people become too negative. They don't criticize themselves. They attack themselves. They hate themselves. They get very emotional about it. They become sad. They become depressed because they made a mistake. They become sad because they're not perfect. That's crazy, and that's not good. So criticize yourself, but in a calm and relaxed way. No need to be upset about it. You will make mistakes, always in life. You will. So just say, I made a mistake, okay, and then try to learn. And then the second half of this, the second part of this technique, is ask other people for constructive criticism. Now, who? Which people? anybody? No. Don't ask your enemies. Don't ask people who are unkind. Don't ask just strangers. Okay, who? Your friends, your family, people you trust, people you care about. Or like, coaches, people who are, better than you. Ask them for criticism, for sure, right? For example, if you're, imagine you're learning public speaking, right? You want to get on a stage and you want to speak, be a powerful speaker. Well, that's great. And sometimes it is helpful. You can get on and you can do a speech. And then after, number one, you can criticize yourself. You can watch a video. And you can, take notes and say, my eye contact is not good, and you make a note. So next time, better eye contact, right? You can find your weak points. And maybe also you have someone who's very good public speaking, very good at it. And so you ask them for coaching. You say, how can I improve? And then maybe they give you some advice. Use your hands, in a bigger way, or use a stronger voice, or talk more slowly, or right. They might give you some good advice, but don't ask anybody, right? You want to ask someone who's better than you, okay? So you can learn from them. So that's also fine. And if they're good, if they're a good coach, they will give you useful criticism, right? They don't just make you feel bad. A bad coach only makes you feel stupid, right? A bad coach will yell at you. I had a coach like this in sports in high school. I played American football one year, and the coach was terrible, really asshole, really. And why was he terrible? He just yelled at us all the time. He never helped us. We never learned anything from him. When we would make a mistake, he would yell at us and make us feel stupid. But he never gave us useful advice, so we would get better. So our confidence dropped and dropped and dropped, and we just felt really bad. And our team, it was terrible. We lost every game. We lost every game. He was a horrible, terrible coach. So you don't, that kind of criticism is not helpful. So when you're looking for help, when you're looking for advice, when you're looking for criticism, you need to find those good coaches, those good helpers, good friends, good family members, and then good coaches who can help you become better. An example of this when I was doing jiu-jitsu, hopefully I'll be going back. I don't know, maybe 6 months. But there were a couple coaches. There's one main one. It was fantastic. Really, really, really good. Okay? Now, he would give criticism, meaning he would tell me I was doing something wrong. If I was trying a technique, he would let me try it, and then I would try it, and it did not work. It wasn't working. So then I'm frustrated, right? Well, then some criticism helps me because he says, okay, you're doing this wrong. Move your leg, or your hand is wrong. You turn it the other way, right? So he's giving me, this is constructive criticism. It's teaching. So he helps me, don't do this, do this. And then I would do it correctly. The technique would work and I would get better, right? And actually all the coaches at Impacto Jiu-Jitsu in Japan are like that. They're all great. That's an example of constructive, useful criticism and really great coaching. That's what you want. Okay, well, that is the end of part 6. So this one is, again, pretty short, just 3 techniques for this one. But, again, this is a very practical book, right? This book is not about deep philosophy, okay? We're not thinking about the meaning of life in this book. Although last week actually was pretty deep about prayer. Yeah, actually, I'm wrong about that. Last week was actually pretty meaningful. This week, though, was very, 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 very practical. Just basic practical stuff, right? And that's what most of this book is. Most of this, it's just, solving one problem. What's the problem? Worry and fear and stress, right? All together, this idea. And he's giving us all these little, kind of like medicine, all these little techniques that can help us solve this one difficult problem. All right, it's time to go to the questions and comments. Okay, little baby, you keep sleeping. You don't need to move around. You don't need to move around so much. No, it's just good to sleep. All right, let's start with a big one. Sebastian has a comment. We're live on Facebook. Sebastian's comment. I'm 23. Hi, AJ. I am a 23-year-old student from Poland. I want to share my experience with all of you. My last vacation I spent in Iceland. Nice. I worked there in a big company for 2 months. My job was easy, and the best was that I could listen to music during work. So I listened to your ebook and podcast all the time. I was so motivated every day. I listened to your podcast 8 hours, sometimes more. Wow. I wonder if there is anyone more crazy about English than me. Of course, there are many great members here. I improved so much because of you. Lots of love to you. Thank you so much. You rock. Sebastian, thank you so much. You rock. 8 hours a day. Man, that's fantastic. Great success story. Thank you, Sebastian. That's really cool. So, 8 hours a day. Here's to you. Cheers. That's fantastic. Really. Rafas, hello again, says, criticism opens up to new perspectives and ideas that you may not have considered, right? Just or helpful or constructive criticism does this. Whenever someone challenges you, they help expand your thinking, right? I would say there is an exception. Some people, they're not trying to help you. They're not trying to give you ideas. They're just attacking you, and they're lying, and they're not honest. That kind of criticism is not helpful, and it's not even really criticism. It's just an attack. So avoid those people. But yes, overall, as he was saying, it does help a lot, right? It can open our minds to new ideas, new possibilities, to boldly go. Yeah, so, and here's good advice. Alia says, or Adi says, never ask advice from jealous people. I agree. If they're jealous, they're not helpful. They're not going to be helpful. Quite the opposite. I would say avoid jealous people. You know, what's funny is what you will often get the best advice from someone who is more successful than you, who's better than you in some area of life. They can oftentimes be very, very helpful and patient because they're not jealous. So they don't have a lot of negative feelings. Their problem is they might be busy, right? So sometimes they don't have time to help you. But when they do help you, they're often very, very patient. You know, again, like my jiu-jitsu teachers were so patient. I mean, those guys were so good. You know, my instructor was amazing, one of the top guys in Japan, and so he's sparring, he's going against me. I'm nothing. He could just beat me in 2 seconds anytime he wanted to. But so patient, so helpful. And often you'll find this with the people who are really good and really have a good heart. They can be so helpful, so patient. It's the jealous people, right? It's those jealous people, though, are the opposite. They're so mean. They can be so mean and nasty. And like Barawa says, good point here is, doing a mistake is good if we can learn from it. Yeah, right. I mean, that's the thing with mistakes is to learn. It's fine to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. And this is Rafika with another great comment. Man, good comments. Rafika Islam says, we all have a limit of how much criticism we can take. This is true, and a good coach knows this, how much to do. We have to decide how much criticism we can handle and from whom. Criticism from random strangers is not going to have much of an impact on us. From a close friend or a valued family member, that might hurt a bit more, but it can also be more useful, right? Good point. And like I said, a good coach knows this too. How much criticism, because too much, again, like imagine like in jiu-jitsu, I was a white belt. Instructor is a black belt. He could criticize me all day long. I'm doing everything wrong. Okay? Right? I mean, from his perspective, he could find 100 things I'm doing wrong. But that would be bad coaching to tell me all of them. It would be too much. I would be overwhelmed. My confidence would be destroyed. I would, oh God, I suck. I'm terrible. I can never do this. I probably just want to quit. And that's what my football coach did. I mentioned the bad football coach. He just yelled at us all the time, constantly, you're doing this wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. It was just too much all the time. And so he destroyed the confidence of the whole team. And so we lost every game. So, right, you gotta, for yourself, you have to know a little bit's useful. Too much is destructive. It will hurt you. And also, if you are the one giving criticism, you're a coach maybe or a teacher. Again, a little bit is useful, but just one or two things, and then shut up, okay? And let them work on those two things or one thing first, and then later you can, help them with something else. And then with a similar comment, Iman, in my country, we have a saying. We say, if you don't make a mistake, you cannot learn, right? This is how you learn from life, how you learn from experience, is you try, you get a result. If it's bad, now you learn something. If it's good, you learn something too. Okay, let me just move forward here, see what people are saying. Okay, Ahmed says, I have a problem. I feel there's nobody around me I can trust or ask them about anything. Yeah, so I'm always trusting you and your opinion, so I hope you will never change. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. That's nice. And I understand this, right? Sometimes in life, maybe you don't know, there's no one in your life right now who will give you that like good advice, that trusting advice. Me too, different times in my life, maybe like when I was in high school, really none of the teachers, I couldn't trust any of them, and the coach, definitely not. And that sucks. So what do you do? Well, you do like what Ahmed says, you can find role models, coaches, you can find them from books, online now. And then you have to also, you can criticize yourself, right? You can, again, you can learn from your mistakes. If you're trying to learn something, you can analyze yourself for anything. Let's imagine you want to be a singer. You're singing. Well, how can you criticize yourself? Well, record yourself singing. Practice a song and then sing the song and record it. And then later listen to it and you will hear the mistakes, right? And this will give you an idea. I'm not good with the high notes, or I'm out of tune a little bit, or whatever, right? And this can also help you. So you can kind of be your own coach too. Okay. Yeah, so Taha with a nice long comment here. Criticism is beneficial, but not all the time. Yes. The kind who's able to criticize us and make us feel as if we need to improve ourselves, that is the good one. Right. The good criticism makes you actually feel stronger because you're learning something. You feel you're learning, you're getting better. Like I mentioned, my jiu-jitsu coach. So I would feel better after criticism, like I wanted it, because I knew, I'm getting better. He's helping me. Now I know how to do this better. So that's the criticism that makes you stronger, makes you better. You know it, and you actually want that. But then there's the other kind, and here's what he's going to say. Taha says, the other kind I hate the most. I was exposed to the silliest situation ever in my high school. One time, one of my teachers, just to make us all laugh, criticized me a lot in front of my friends. I totally lost my strength, my self-esteem, even myself after this situation. I thought I'm just a scum and a failure who cannot make a step in his life. I decided to change my life then and move on. Now I'm a new person who loves to learn everything. I'm very happy I'm doing. If I go back again to this teacher, I'll kill him. Don't kill him, but you could punch him in the face. I'm joking about the punching in the face, so half joking. Right. This is a clear sign when you know criticism is helpful or not. As I said, helpful criticism, you feel better after. Maybe not immediately. Sometimes, maybe immediately your pride, you're kind of, you don't feel good. But later you think about it and you realize, oh, okay, I learned something. This is useful criticism. It's true criticism. And if I can learn and be better because of this. That's good. And then this is the bad kind, right? It's not even a real criticism, right? This teacher just embarrassed him just for a joke. Just so the teacher could feel better about himself, feel like a big man or big woman, big man, whatever. So that's an attack, right? Unjust criticism, bad criticism, they're really attacking you. They're attacking you. They're trying to destroy your happiness. They're trying to destroy your confidence. Again, this is a limit of our language because I think we need two different words for this, right? Criticism and an attack. It's really, I think it would be useful to have a couple different words, useful. We have, in English, often what we do is we just make a phrase so we know the difference. So we have constructive criticism and we have destructive criticism. So he's talking about destructive criticism, which is an attack. And then constructive criticism is coaching, helping you. It's more like advice. Munir says, AJ. Hello, AJ. How easy or difficult is it to change someone's view of looking at things only in a negative way? I find it's quite difficult to change someone else. Now, changing yourself is different. But, someone else who's very negative, to change them, it's hard. I don't try, actually, anymore. I just feel like, my own soul is my responsibility. And then other people's, of course, I tried to influence. I tried to be a good influence. But you will waste a lot of time in life trying to change other people. I find it's best just to try to be a good example. Focus on yourself, being the best you can. Be a good influence. Certainly be persuasive and all of that. But don't get upset when other people don't change, because many times they don't. Okay, now here's another example. Vanderlei says, what's your opinion about toxic bosses? Toxic means poison, right? And so what is Vanderlei talking about? Well, it's exactly this. It's like my coach, my football coach in high school. It's the same idea, a toxic boss. Maybe you've had this. I've had it. A lot of us have had this kind of boss in life. Again, they just yell at you, attack you all the time, constantly criticize you. Why? Because they feel more powerful, right? They're not trying to help you. That kind of boss is not trying to be helpful. They're not trying to improve the business. They're not trying to help you improve and do a better job. No, they have an emotional problem. And when they attack someone under them, working for them, employees, they feel more powerful. It's ego and pride and things like that. That's why they do it. What do I think about it? Quit. Don't work for them. That was my solution. I would just leave, as life's too short. A job, especially full-time job, that's 40 hours a week, maybe more. That's a long time every week to be attacked by your boss constantly. Your life will be so unhappy. Start looking. If you have a toxic boss, I say start looking for another job. Start job searching now. And when you find another one, leave. That's my advice about that. You're not going to change them. They never change. And Alibay with a good simple point. Practice might not make you perfect, but for sure it will make you better. That's right. It's about improving. It's the direction you're moving is the key thing. You'll never be perfect, but you can improve, of course. All right. Din says, don't be scared of criticism from others. If you try to hide your foolishness because you're scared of other people will criticize you and laugh at you, you cannot improve or grow up. Yeah, good point. If you don't understand something, ask for the answer. Help the other. Don't be quiet. I agree. This fear is kind of ridiculous. What can they do, really? You know, like being embarrassed. No one likes it, but it's really not that bad. You know, we just do foolish stuff sometimes. So just laugh about it. It's no big deal. I've had some examples of this. I think I've told the story before, but one time in Vietnam, I was speaking to a big group and I fell off the stage. I fell off. I stepped off. I just get too excited and I fell off and crashed onto the floor in the middle of talking. I just laughed and stood up and continued to talk. Just pretended nothing happened and nobody cared. Nobody cared. Maybe they laughed a little bit. So what? It's no big deal, you know? It's okay to be foolish. It's okay to be foolish sometimes in life. You will be. You'll do stupid things. Okay? You will be foolish sometimes. Just laugh about it. You got to learn to laugh at yourself a little bit. I think part of it is pride, right? We're too proud sometimes and we're so worried so serious about ourselves. And sometimes it's just nice just laugh at yourself sometimes and make it a joke, and then it's no big deal, right? You fail, just laugh about it. Well, I failed, learn something, laugh a little bit. You do something really, really stupid, like you fall off stage when you're talking to 1,000 people. What can you do? Just laugh. Yeah, it's not the end of the world. Just laugh about it. Good point, Din. Now we have Min. Says, hello to you. I just graduated college. Congratulations. I have a full-time job now. Double congratulations. I felt so worried and stressed, afraid that I have made a mistake. I always feel nervous about the future. You're too young for this, you know. How to stop it. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. I'm not sure what you're afraid of making a mistake, I guess, at your job. Is what I'm guessing from this. Well, I think you need to, we got a whole book about this topic we're reading right now. So you've got use a bunch of these techniques, watch these book club videos for this book and choose 5 of the techniques and use them each day. In terms of, look, you're young. You will make mistakes, okay? You're going to have to get this in your mind. Stop being afraid of making mistakes. In fact, you need to make mistakes because you're young. You need to. If you don't make mistakes, you're going to be boring. You're not going to learn fast enough, okay? After college, you know nothing. I'm just going to be honest. You know nothing about the real world of work. Nobody does, okay? No college students. They're all clueless. Just like I was, okay? So you're now getting into the real world, getting real world experience. And you need to learn, I don't know what area of work you're in, but, it doesn't matter. You need to learn the real world work skills and to get better. How do you get better? By trying things, trying new things, trying different things, pushing yourself, being less comfortable. What happens when you do that? You will fail sometimes. You will make mistakes, but in this way you will learn. Fail faster, succeed sooner. That's a Tom Peters quote. He's a business speaker, a business writer. It's a fantastic little phrase, and it is often very true. Fail faster, succeed sooner. Why? Because when you fail faster, you learn faster. When you learn faster, you succeed sooner and bigger. So instead of avoiding mistakes, instead of avoiding risk, do more of it. Just learn. The mistakes are fine. The problem is not learning from them. So you need to be more aggressive and really try to keep pushing yourself to learn and do new things and learn and do new things at your job. Take more responsibility at your job. Ask for advice from your bosses, from people who are better at you. Ask for their advice. Ask for their help. Ask for their coaching. You'll be fine. What's the worst that can happen is you get fired, right? That's the worst. You get fired. You make a mistake. It's really stupid and bad. They fire you. Is that nice? No. Do you want that? No. But you won't die. Okay. What happens if you get fired? You get another job. Believe me. Trust me, I've had many jobs. It's not the end of the world to lose a job and get a new one. So just relax about that. My business English course is coming. Really, you should get my business English course when I sell it. It's coming maybe in a couple of months because it's a lot about this kind of topic, business English course. So yeah, for you, I think you should do that too. Oh, Taha, that's nice. It's the little kid with me in my photo, he says, is my, what do you say, nephew, right? Yeah, my nephew. I'm teaching him English according to your videos. He's eager to learn, and he's learning about body parts. Very nice. Hassam says, is it better as a teacher... Is it better to avoid criticism of my students completely? Sometimes I really couldn't help myself. It depends on the situation. I don't like the word criticism. I don't criticize students. I coach them. In my mind, it's different. Coaching is teaching. I show them how to do it correctly. I don't really worry too much about what's wrong. I want them to instead to listen to me in English specifically. I focus on that. Now, different subjects, different skills require a little bit different methods. You can't teach English the same way you teach golf, right? Or jiu-jitsu or whatever. So, there will be specific differences in different skills and topics. But overall, I like to focus on the positive, like just showing the correct way to do something. So if they're doing something wrong, instead of focusing on that's wrong, I might just say, oh, do it this way instead. Right? I'm not directly criticizing. I'm not directly saying this is wrong. I'm just saying this is right. I'm showing them the correct way, the right way. And that's a general way I coach in most things. Yeah, Carol with a good point. The reverse. A criticism can be a disguised compliment. A compliment can also be a disguised criticism. Isn't that true? In English, we have an idiom, a slang for that. We call it a backhanded compliment. Backhanded it's like they're smacking you in the face with the back of their hand. Smack! So it sounds like a compliment, but actually it's a criticism or an attack. Trying to think of an example of that. You might, for example, you could say, let's see. This is a too obvious example. Maybe it helps give an idea. You could say that shirt is really pretty. that shirt you're wearing looks really good because it hides your fat. Right? So it's a compliment. The shirt looks nice, but then inside is an attack. You're fat. Right? That shirt looks really nice. It hides your fat. Right? This is a backhanded compliment, meaning it's actually an attack. Things are not always what they seem to be at first sight, right? So it isn't worth getting too upset or enthusiastic in either situation. Yeah, right. Vasilis' kids are going crazy. Vasilis, hi from Russia. I just joined the show while I'm outside walking with two little boys. But they're warring. How I can't be warring if they're both running different sides. One goes to the road, the other to the playground, and they're both going crazy. But I want to see your show. Do I need to be more strict? I don't know. It depends on the situation. You're outdoors, right? So my mindset with kids is that outdoors, I want them to be crazy. They need it. All kids, boys especially, need time to be wild and just run around and go crazy. And really, that's best to do outside. So, I don't think it's a problem. You'll have to watch the show, another time. And then the other idea, though, of course, is the kids also need self-control. They can't be wild and crazy all the time. So they have to know. I think it's nice to, like with kids, is you have like some places and some times. They understand. Okay, some places you can be wild and sometimes you can. So we're outside, or it's safe. Go crazy. Run around, go crazy. Ah! But then inside in the house before dinner, no, you don't go crazy. Then you need to be self-controlled. You need to be quiet. You need to talk respectfully, right? So there's a time for wildness and there's a time for self-control, more self-control. And of course, this is useful in life. They need to learn this. So I don't know. It's up to you. But, if they go crazy all the time, like if they're at your house and they're breaking things in your house and going totally crazy, that's probably a problem. But if, you're outdoors and they're at the playground, I don't know. I just relax about it, I think. Let them have fun. Now, back here with a good point. Here, people hate to be criticized. They yell to you if you do so. Even when I see the wrong thing happens, I will not talk. There are many people like this who cannot hear it, even constructive. This is why I was saying before, someone asked, how to change someone's opinion. The truth is most people don't listen. Most people don't want any coaching at all. Most people don't want to hear any criticism. And, honestly, back here's probably right. Don't give it to them. If they don't want it, don't give it to them. Now it's different. Now, if you see something in public that's really wrong, like they're like, I don't know, hurting a child or something, well, then you need to do something. But just in general in life, it's not your job to coach everybody in the world. If you're a boss, then you have to do it. If you're in a position, some positions, it's your job to do this, and you need to do it. And if they don't listen, you fire them. Or in a sports team, you cut them, or make them sit, and don't let them play in the game. So sometimes it's your position. With your own children, you have to do it. It's your job. But just other people, just if they want to be stupid, let them be stupid. Don't waste your effort. If they don't want help, then don't give it to them. Alabe says, I guess, maybe you're a teenager, or you're remembering being a teenager. I think the hardest part about being a teenager is dealing with other teenagers. Yes. the criticism and the ridicule, the gossip and the rumors. Yeah. What's so funny is that teenagers often think they are so, like individual and rebellious. But in fact, I think adults know they're the most conformist. They're the most scared of criticism, right? They're the most afraid to be different, expect from their friends. And this is the other reason. School makes all of this much worse. If you homeschool, your teenagers will not have these problems as much. Emmanuel. Hey, Emmanuel, good to see you again. Hi, dear coach. Good to see you again. I have a question. Is meditation a really good way of improving our energy? It is. Concentration. As I am doing it regularly, I've noticed that I have improved radically my way of learning English. Yes, of course it will help your English. Why? Meditation trains concentration. I mean, that is one of them. That is really the heart of meditation, is concentrate. You're learning to concentrate more powerfully and for a longer time. Will this help in other parts of life? Absolutely. It means you can concentrate on an English lesson or an audio longer and more carefully. You won't get so distracted. You won't get bored. Your concentration gets deeper and stronger and longer. So this will help you in anything. It will help you in sports. It will help you in anything that requires concentration. So it is absolutely super powerful and very helpful with these things. I found the same thing. My concentration is better. And I don't meditate large amounts. I'm not a monk or anything, but just the little bit I have done and do sometimes definitely helps me. And here, Tuan, I think I just answered your question. Emmanuel, connected to what Emmanuel said. Coach, I get bored of everything in a really short period of time. What should I do to overcome that problem? Meditation? Meditate. Try that. Meditate every day. Do it longer and longer. You will train yourself to be less bored, more concentration. All right. Motassim says, I'm always worried about committing mistakes in front of people, right? I mean, I was saying this at the beginning, that really it's not so much the mistakes we are afraid of, right? Of course, it's something dangerous that will hurt us. We're afraid of that. But many times in life, the mistake is not actually that scary. It's other people seeing the mistake that we worry about, right? Like if I'm practicing a speech and I fall down, nobody sees it. Doesn't matter. I just laugh and stand up. But if speaking to 1,000 people and I fall down, right? Maybe that's more embarrassing. So you're right. I mean, it's social. It's the social criticism we're more worried about, I think, than mistakes. Same with like a business. Like if you start a business, your own business, you start your own business. It fails. You lose money. You close the business. Well, I mean, really, that's not a big deal. It's not fun, but it happened to me. I had to do it. And it's really no big deal. It's more we worry about what will everyone else think. And honestly, no one cares. Most people don't really care. I won't say no one, but most people don't care, which is good. Okay, Yay says, hello, teacher. I chose a job I thought I can learn a lot for my future. That's smart. However, I feel stress and worry that I'm not able to fit in their system. How can I make myself happy in that job? Well, I don't know. Right, I understand what you're saying. I don't know if you can. Maybe you can't, is the truth. You might find that you're not happy in that system, in that company, in that kind of work. But this is also part of learning, right? I can see your picture. You look quite young. But you'll learn, okay? You can learn for a while. Maybe you work this job only for 1 year. Maybe you're not super happy, but you learn a lot. Then you move to a different job and you learn again. I mean, like Robert Kiyosaki says, first, what is it? First, work to learn, then work to earn, right? It means when you're young, in your 20s, let's say, your focus, instead of focusing on making the most money, you should focus on getting the most experience, the most useful skills, really improving. Then in your 30s, you have the experience, you have the knowledge, you have the ability. That's when you can really start to make more money. But in your 20s, too many people in their 20s, now I know some people like this. Some young men who, they graduate from college. They're 25 years old, and they're totally focused on making maximum amount of money. They want to be rich. They want to make a lot of money. And they're upset when they don't. Well, of course they don't, because they don't know anything. They have no experience. You need probably 10 years of just working to get experience and to become good at what you do. Then you can start to get higher salaries, better jobs, make more money, start a business, whatever. Right? But you need that time. You need to become good at what you do first. So just, take your time. If you hate it, change to another job when you can and learn from that. Okay, another example of a bad boss. Emmanuel again says, I recently started working as a counselor, telling other people about getting shelter for sleeping. But my main issue is my boss is tyrannical, like a bad boss, toxic boss. Every mistake I make, making a mistake, for example, letting drug addicts come in, he always yells at me for no reason. Do you have any suggestion? Yeah, find a better job. He won't change. Keep the job. If you need the money, keep the job, but start looking for something else. That's my policy. And Marianne, hello again. Most people today, they focus on mistakes, and that's why it's easy for them to be criticized and judge people. Yeah, a lot of people focus too much on, there has to be a balance. We like to learn from mistakes. We like to criticize ourselves and see our weak points, but not too much. Not too much, because you also need to keep your confidence high. Many times the most confident, the most aggressive or confident person will succeed or win. It's not always the most skillful. And also, sometimes someone might have more skill, but if their confidence is low, they still lose. They still fail. Because when you're not confident, you don't use your skill completely. So very important, not to be, you got to remember all the positive stuff too. Like I gave the example of public speaking, and you're taking notes and you're writing down what was bad about your speech to learn. That's good. You should also write down what's good. You should go back again, watch your speech, and notice what are you doing well, so that you realize that, so you do it more. And now I did this a lot when I was learning to speak. In fact, I focused my first course in public speaking. They never criticized. They only talked about the good points. They wanted us to make our good points stronger and bigger. It was the Dale Carnegie speaking course, the guy who wrote this book. There's a company named the Dale Carnegie Company. He's dead now, but his company is still alive. And they have a very good public speaking course. Very, very good. Their philosophy is no criticism. None. They will not tell you something negative about your speech. Because this is for beginners. They're teaching beginners. And they know, for a beginner public speaker, they know that confidence is the most important thing. And they know that nervousness is the worst thing. You know how to talk, right? You already know how to talk. You can talk to your friend or your mom or dad without being afraid, right? Easily, you can talk about something. So you don't have a talking problem. You have a nervous problem, right? When you stand up to speak to more people, a group of people, you become nervous, you lose your confidence, and then your speaking sucks. Your speaking is bad. So the Dale Carnegie course, they realize that this is the main problem. They are correct. And so they decided that their course will focus on building your confidence. They do teach you how to do a good speech. They teach you a nice formula, in fact, a very nice formula, an easy formula to do a very good speech. And it is a good formula, and it works. And then they focus on your strong points and to make your strong points better and better and better. So when I started their course, my strong point was my energy and enthusiasm. Now, I was very nervous. My first speeches were terrible, but they didn't talk about that. They just said, well, you have really good energy. You're really energetic when you talk. And you're enthusiastic. So I realized, oh, okay, that's good, right? It made me feel better. And so then the next week I did another speech, and I tried to be even more energetic and more enthusiastic, and I made that strong point bigger and bigger and bigger. And then they focus on other good things. Oh, you were good at telling the story. You did this. And at the end of the course, I was a much, much, much better public speaker. I was much more confident, much more relaxed. Very good. Now, I continued to improve. Later, as I got better, I did start to criticize myself more. I would make videos and I would watch myself. But I think for beginners, especially for beginners, criticism is not so helpful. It's more helpful for people who are advanced because you already have the confidence, right? If an advanced public speaker, someone who can talk to 500 people easily, well, then a little criticism is helpful. Some coaching is helpful because, you're confident. If someone says, someone tells you something bad about your speech, you're not going to feel that bad. You're already confident. So you say, oh, okay, well, thanks. Okay, Lisa Giordano. Hi, teacher. I feel worried when my students look bored during my lessons. Yeah. How can I understand if it depends on the way I teach them English literature? Should I ask them for a sort of feedback at the end of each lesson? You can't. I don't know the age of your students. It depends. Sometimes they'll be helpful and sometimes they won't. Let me think. I know what you mean. I mean, I always did this too. Good teachers do this. It's just like good public speakers do the same. You're watching the audience. And if the audience starts to look bored, then you start, it's a kind of feedback already, right? They're telling you something's not quite right. Now, there's a couple problems. In an English literature class, you're in a school. So one problem in the school system is that the students are not choosing. They don't have a free choice. So many of the students don't want to be there. They don't care about English literature. They don't want to learn it. That's tough. Can you change their mind? Maybe and maybe not. Some of them you cannot. So if those students are bored, it's not your fault. okay? Because you can't teach people who don't want to learn. I mean, this is one reason I started my own company. I don't want people. If someone doesn't want to learn English, why should I try to force them to learn English? That's crazy. If they don't want to learn it, fine, don't learn it. I don't care. It's their life. Everyone doesn't have to learn English. Maybe they don't like English. Maybe they don't need it. That's okay. So I want people who want to learn. I mean, that's the first step. My first advice for teachers, if you can do it, if you can become your own teacher, right, independent, then only accept students who really want to learn. This will solve about 90% of your problems. And then if you know the students do want to learn, they really want to learn, then after that, if they're looking bored, well, then you know, oh, maybe my technique's not working. Maybe I'm talking too long about this topic. Maybe I'm doing one thing for too long. Maybe I need to ask more questions to keep them awake. And then you can maybe, observe them and even ask them for feedback. That will be helpful. So don't feel bad, though. Sometimes you have to, in the past, I taught when I was teaching in schools. I had to teach some students who really, really, really did not want to be there. And they're going to sit back and there's a bad look on their face. And there's really not much you can do for them. Stick them in the back and make them be quiet. That's about all. So good luck to you, Lisa. Just, do your best. Tuong, can you recommend some books from Buddhism? I would start with the original Tripitaka Sutras. It looks like you're Vietnamese, so you should have no problem finding them in Vietnamese. But start with the originals, the direct sutras. Instead of somebody else telling you what the sutras mean, read the sutras directly yourself. Of course, there are so many sutras, but you would want to choose the key ones, right? The turning of the Dharma wheel, and the 4 foundations of mindfulness. These are the English names. I don't remember the Pali names. But it's the same. Like if someone asks about Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism, Vedic philosophy, well, read the Bhagavad Gita first. Or if you want to know about Christianity, read the Bible. You can read like Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. You can read other books, but go directly to the source is the best way. Vladislav says, I think most coaches who criticize and yell, they've been taught to be like that. Those people during their lives also had lots of bad teachers. At school, kids from early ages get criticized too much. I remember my first school teacher criticized and yelled at us, though she wanted us to succeed. She'd been taught to teach this bad way. She didn't realize it. That's right. There's a lot of, there are some bad people, like toxic bosses. They're mean, they're bad people, and they feel more powerful. But, like Vladislav says, they're also what we maybe would call them unskilled. They're not bad people. They have a good heart. They want to help, but they don't know how. They're unskilled coaches. They think they need to just constantly criticize and focus on your mistakes. They think that will help you, but it doesn't. They just don't understand. They don't know how to be a good coach or a good teacher. Another problem is that, like I said, it depends on the level and the confidence of the learner. Your techniques need to change a little bit, right? So again, like with the Dale Carnegie, for a beginner, like elementary school kids, young kids, someone you're just beginning, really no criticism in the beginning. Why would you criticize them? They don't know anything. Of course they don't. It's your job to teach them. So it needs to be very, 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 very positive. On the other hand, a master, someone at the very top, you can criticize them. You probably need to. In fact, they probably want it, right? A professional athlete, like a professional soccer player, let's say. They can handle it. They know they're good, okay? If you tell them they did something wrong, they're not going to cry. Okay, they know they're good. You're not going to destroy their confidence if you give them a little bit of, even if you yell at them a little bit. Some of them, they're pretty strong. They know they're really, really good. They can handle it. Okay, so it's quite different, a beginner from a top pro. And so I think this is another problem, is sometimes the coaches, they're coaching at the wrong level. They're coaching children, but they're coaching them like they're, in the Premier League, right? They're yelling at them like they're professional soccer players and they should be able to do all this stuff perfectly, but they can't. So it destroys their confidence and it hurts them, and it's bad coaching. So, and just like, at the top level, let's say, if you're coaching Liverpool, yeah, that coach probably is going to yell. Okay, he's probably going to yell at his players when they make a mistake. Why? Because they're so good. They're the best in the world. They're right at the top. So they don't make a lot of mistakes. So when they do make a mistake, he's going to yell at them. But they can handle it, all right? They're making millions of dollars playing the game. They're at the very top level. So that level coach, he can yell a little bit more. And he probably will. But if you give that coach, you don't want him to teach 10-year-olds, because it's too much pressure. It's too much criticism. So good points, Vladislav, that sometimes it's just a lack of understanding or skill in coaching. So it's not always, they're not always bad people. Lisa says, my students are 14 to 18 years old, Italian secondary school. Yeah, that's a hard age. Good luck to you. Focus on the ones that are really motivated first. If you want, that's my best advice for you, Lisa, is you can ask for feedback, ask for advice, but only talk to the motivated students, the ones who really seem to like it, the ones who really want to learn. Don't get advice from students who hate it. They won't give you good advice. So you could talk to those guys and girls. Prim saying, cultivation of mind should be the ultimate aim of human existence. And quoting the person you recommended to me yesterday, B.R. Ambedkar, cultivation of mind. And of course, that is consistent with what Buddha said as well, and many others. Okay, Gabrielle. Hi, Jay. I'm thinking about attending your VIP course. Just a question. Can I really come out of the freaking intermediate level once and for all with it, or only to learn a set of new words? Help me. It's not so much focused on vocabulary. It's more focused on fluency. The truth is, to speak really well, you don't need a huge vocabulary. So yeah, just try it. That's my best advice for you. Try it and see. The way to make a big improvement is like our Polish member. What was his name? I forgot his name. That was saying he listened 8 hours a day. If you want to really improve, maybe for a few months, get the VIP program and repeat those lessons constantly every day, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. You can also add the podcast. You can add audiobooks, just like a huge jump into English, surrounding yourself, filling your mind with English all day long. Do that a few months. You will break the intermediate level finally. All right, I'm going to take one more, and then it's time for me to go. Okay. Okay, this is a kind of unrelated to this, but kind of related. Merrick says, is a job necessary to survive? appears so, but some people do not work much and they're doing well in life. How they do it? Maybe some just walk in the light. They simplify their lives is what they do. I mean, I did it, so I can tell you very practically. If you, some people like working, by the way, so there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't want to work a lot, especially a job, I mean, you have to then cut your expenses and live in a very, very, very simple way, meaning you're spending not much money. You have to learn how to enjoy life without much money. It's possible, certainly. And then there's no pressure to work a lot. You can just work part-time. You can work a little bit. He's right. There's lots of people. There's people like in America, for example, who they just do little jobs and they move around all the time, and they go surfing in the summer, and they go skiing and snowboarding in the winter and rock climbing, and they camp a lot. They have some old car and a tent, and they camp outdoors a lot, and they don't spend a lot of money on food. They get little part-time jobs in these different towns, and they'll do this for many years and have a great life. So it's possible, for sure it's possible. All right, so anyway, very nice. Another good book club. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, today's was about criticism and 3 different ways to deal with the fear of criticism. Worry is really fear, right? They're related. Worry is fear, especially about the future, especially about things that might happen. And one of the big fears, one of the big worries we have, a lot of people have, is criticism. But today we learned 3, and we discussed even more ideas about how to reduce, at least reduce, even get rid of this fear, this worry about criticism. In the end, criticism can't actually hurt you. It hurts your pride, right? It doesn't hurt you physically. It doesn't kill you. It hurts your pride. If you learn to laugh at yourself a little more, not be so serious about it, then your pride will not be hurt so much. All right. As always, lots of love to you, and send me a message on Gab at AJHoge, AJHOGE. And as always, join my VIP program or Power English course or pronunciation course. All my courses are at effortlessenglishclub.com. Effortlessenglishclub.com. Go there and commit. Make that commitment, and you will succeed. Commit, don't quit, at effortlessenglishclub.com.